Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate it. I represent a big chunk of Virginia north of here, and have a little piece of CERC Central Territory, and it's a huge rural district. I'm just outside of Lynchburg. I'm just outside of Roanoke. Got South Side, part of Central, and then all of Southwest Virginia. Dr. Kern, I want to give you an opportunity because I heard something, and maybe I heard it wrong.
Yeah.
So, as understanding my district, this is why my ears picked up on this. You seem to be concerned that if we convert a large part of our fleet to electric vehicles, that in extreme weather conditions, folks like I represent in very rural areas are going to have significant mobility issues. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, I think that there's a possibility that that could happen. I think in theory, the idea of having people who have access to batteries or stored energy in their vehicles could represent a source of resiliency. But if the outages are prolonged enough and there's a limited capacity in people's vehicles, then they have a choice to make about whether they power life-saving devices in their homes or whether they get out of there.
Now let's talk about the life-saving devices too, because you're really concerned about blackouts and those types of things as well. Did I hear that in your testimony as well?
Yes, sir.
And so we need to make sure that the grid's reliable and that we have that supply chain. Mr. Poinsetti, I'm going to go to you next because, you know, we had some definitely rolling blackouts in my district, and in part of that CERC Central, I think there were some blackouts in Kentucky during that severe weather right before Christmas. This area was dealing with the transformers that got shut up. I have to wonder how much more severe it would have been if the temperature had been 3 degrees like it was in my district on Christmas Eve. So as a part of that, let's talk transformers for a minute. I'm looking at the NERC 2023 Summer Reliability Assessment, where also that central section is on a higher, let's see, make sure I get the terminology, an elevated risk level for the summer, but it applies to the severe weather in the winter as well. We don't have enough transformers. Now, part of that, you tell me if I'm wrong, part of that was because of the increased efficiency standards set by the Department of Energy in 2013, and now they want to go again, and the report says that as far as supply chain, new efficiency standards for distribution transformers proposed by the United States Department of Energy could further exacerbate the transformer supply shortage. So, is that your assessment, that we've got a problem there?
I'm probably not the right person to comment on policy and that impact, but I do know that transformers, if they become scarce and or damaged, like what happened here in Moore County, that's to fully replace it is a long lead time item. And Duke did an extraordinary job with some mobile spares and other stuff to get that power back very quickly.
And I would agree, Duke did a fantastic job, but with the new standards that came in 2013, we eliminated all but one of the American suppliers of steel for transformers, so now we're having to import that. If we have a major disaster that Mr. Latta was talking about, we're not going to have the transformers out there available. And do you think we'd be better off if we had something along the lines of the Renee Elmo's proposal of a public-private partnership to have some large distribution transformers stored at various locations around the country to make sure that if we have either a natural disaster or an attack by an enemy, that we're able to put our power grid back together in a quicker, never going to be immediate, but in a quicker time period?
So I'm a former planner and former Boy Scout, and being prepared makes good sense to me.
Grace, do you think that Duke would be willing to participate and put some cash on the table if we could have a national public-private partnership to have transformers sitting in warehouses waiting to see if we had a disaster of some form? Yes or no, because my time's running out.
Congressman, we definitely engage in that conversation.
All right. And Mr. Ray, you indicated that some of the national priorities don't match up to help states to be more efficient. I got to know, what are they?
So I think, again, we're not in any way, shape, or form trying to minimize what I think our federal partners see at a high strategic level. We know their priorities are.
Yeah, I get it. Where do you see the problems for the state?
I think currently we don't have the flexibility to say we don't want to spend as much money on one national priority versus another that may be higher here in North Carolina. And I'm happy to.
So if we're fighting between electric vehicle chargers in rural areas or transformers, you'd like the flexibility to choose transformers. I put the words in your mouth. I also say Stafford needs to be reformed. I yield back.